Welcome once again to Space and Harmony, in Harmonia of Life. Why do human beings feel so helpless, sad, rejected, without a sense of divine home and belonging, even among their relatives? What is our true being and divine home, if there is any? Well, let's discover. Now that we are on dates when everyone seems to be celebrating something special, maybe to cover up sorrows and worries, to bury them deeper for a while. Here I bring for you some real presents, not the external gifts and wild consumerism of these days. As you may know, Christmas is a very old feast, celebration of the winter solstice, from which the days get longer. So December 25th marks the rebirth of the old solar god who dies and is reborn every year in many myths, later known as Invincible Sun or Sol Invictus, Mithras in the Babylonian religion. However, as we can see all over, these feasts end up bringing a paraphernalia of lights, false lights, in a false universe, as we will see. Now, if we listen to the true wisdom of light, we understand that true light was never created or generated in any universe. So some of us do not celebrate the birth of the sun god and its deceitful lights, but we rather remember the fecundation of the true virgin soul in us, where the seed of divine conscience was deposited, charged with its potential of loving consciously, not emotionally, but opening a space to the truth of life and serenity that permeate the true essence of those with the seed. And receiving this seed is known as being born from the water, because its understanding begins to cleanse our darkness. Our bodies are mostly water as well, even though it's stagnant and dirty. However, the seed of conscience makes us feel the divine being living within us, even within this mortal body. And because of that, when there is a flash of conscience, something comes back to life in us. We start feeling calm and feel some tenderness, but we may also feel our contradictions all of a sudden. We feel how we want to receive, but we rarely want to give, even though we were given everything. We want the truth, but we feed the false in us with external things, beliefs, customs, pastimes, food. We want love, but how many times we react and respond with hatred and division. We want life, but we insist on walking like zombies. And this is not acceptable under the point of view of conscience, even though modern psychologists want us to believe the opposite. Because the idea of self acceptance and self esteem can be a dangerous path to self destructive narcissism. Step aside from yourself, take up your cross, and follow me, said Yeshua, sometimes translated as deny yourself. But he was really asking us not to identify with the psychological soul, to contemplate it as from a distance, since the light of discerning consciousness and the light of conscience in the feeling heart cannot accept being part of darkness. In any case, light tolerates darkness, but only partially. without condemnation by means of forgiving. Otherwise, we would be dead, struck by the lightning of divine will. But conscience suffers. There is remorse of conscience after all. Wounded was he, the divine being within us, for our transgressions. But with his wounds we are healed, said Prophet Isaiah. Do not grieve the spirit of holiness of the divine being with whom you were sealed for redemption, Paul said. And that light of truth is so powerful that the faults in us cannot stand it. Now, those who have the seed of conscience can also feel remorse on an unconscious level. That's the origin of some types of sadness and depression. As for the anger and irrational bitterness, this would rather come from the madness of fallen Adam in us. But in any case, this emotional tension is what weakens the immune system, making the body sick. So we must facilitate the development of the true conscience that feels the truth in the heart with the help of the consciousness that feels simultaneously with the mind, since consciousness is to know and understand simultaneously all that is given us to know and understand in order to act wisely with righteousness. Get wisdom and understanding, says a proverb of King Solomon. Wake up, you who are asleep, rise from the dead, and the Anointed One will shine upon you, says another passage of the Scripture. So let's start by being honest with ourselves. We cannot say we are awake when everything ends up in struggle, confusion, illness, and death, which are not part of life. Death simply came because certain scientific architects managed to divide the first light beings that entered in this residual universe, disconnecting them from the true divine family, turning them into darkness, which we have inherited. It's a very long story, and I'll just give some clues. Let's keep in mind that only when we eat from the tree of lives, Etz Chaim in Hebrew, we remain connected to the family of the divine being, and we can say, in him we live, move, and have our being. We are his offspring. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 17. Blessed is he whose face reflects the face of the man from above, says a Hebrew revelation. Which face? We'll discover. Humanity today does not mirror the true face. Humanity only eats duality, sees everything separated, ignoring the tree of lives, where there is no division, there are no parts, no death, but just unicity, oneness in a divine all that is expressed in everything and everyone through one spirit or will of invisible love that originates like a father, its expression of truth and life, which is a collective mother soul where all beings live in harmonia. Remember, not harmony, because harmonia is not harmful. There, in harmonia, we live as interrelated cells, expressing both the fecundating qualities of the father and the vital nurturing qualities of mother life. By contrast, in this universe where we exist, there is a fallen nature where even plants and animals suffer and die. Remember how in the first video I said that we still do not know the true nature. Now I add that those who have the seed of divine conscience already develop to its embryonic state, those who have an embryo soul, as it is said, may feel echoes of the true nature essence. Actually, some of you already told me about your flashes. Many of us have had flashes, remembrances of the true nature. But let's continue digging into ourselves, following the thread of truth. We must understand that the nature we experience was modified by the fallen architects, known as lower wisdom, Sophia. And humanity today is not what it should be. It's not the vehicle of divine being because it was hijacked by these fallen beings who eat the light and life of other beings, since they got disconnected themselves from the spirit of life. And thus they became very psychic without a living spirit. And those architects captured the spirit or will of the first Adam, the sons of light who were deceived and trapped in this universe of death by eating without understanding from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, which were really the corruptible bodies with genetics and mentality of the serpent, designed by the fallen architects, as we can even read in ancient myths, in the book of Genesis, Proverbs 8 and 9, the book of Revelation, and so on and so on. And this is how the spirit and soul of first Adam broke into millions of fragments, which are now trapped in the unconscious of humanity, rebelling with hatred and resentment since they don't understand or see the picture globally. So in humanity there are two seeds, the seed of the serpent and the seed of last Adam. Old Adam became the polluted spirit and soul that gave rise to the spirit and soul psyche of the present humanity, while the last Adam is the divine Son who never fell, and whose spirit cells began to give rise to a new humanity, whose full head began to be manifested with the divine name 2000 years ago in Yeshua. At least he was the only one who expressed the name fully, although as we already saw, the seed had been deposited for thousands of years in many people, containing the new spirit of life that comes to save the residue of the old Adam, the fragments of fallen spirits and souls in us, which is surprising. But old Adam is, after all, what torments us. Her ego is so strong that she eventually has to submit to the new Adam in us. Perhaps some of you have heard echoes of this in ancient stories, like the parable of the prodigal son, who leaves the kingdom of his father until he gets tired of living among swines and eating carrot beans, and then he returns to the father's house. For this reason, Yeshua told Nicodemus that it is necessary to be born again, to be reintegrated into the divine family. If you are not born of the water and of the Spirit, you will not enter the kingdom of the divine being, he said. Many of us have been born from the water, being purified in part through the word and understanding, which awakens conscience. Apostle Peter said, "The baptism of the word now saved you not by removing the filth of the flesh, but as a petition to the divine being of a good conscience." 1 Peter 3:21. In that sense, he also says that we are born again, not of a seed that perishes, but by the divine word that resides in us. 1 Peter 1:23. And now we only need to be born with the spirit of life, which is to reflect the divine personality. Blessed is he whose face reflects the face of the man from above, says the book of Zohar, a great Hebrew revelation. And which face is this? It is the face of the Father, which is also the face of the Son. Because as Yeshua says in another great revelation, the Son does what the Father does, reflects him, both in the divine home and in this fallen earth. And that face is the collective divine soul. This is why Paul said that the Anointed One is the image of the invisible God. And our being is a cell of this cosmic body, the Anointed One. And to this day, that soul or divine face continues to grow as more and more fallen spirits and soul are purified and reintegrated into the origin, the divine oneness, the kingdom. Scripture also teaches that our true spirits of life are the hearts of primordial Adam, the universal Father. Those who hate me exceed the number of my hairs, we read in Psalm 69. And thus Yeshua came to say, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones," referring to children, also in a spiritual sense of souls that are learning, "because I tell you that their messengers in the heavens always contemplate the face of my Father who is in heaven." Matthew 18:10. And what are these messengers, translated as angels? As I said in the last video, they are the spirits of life that come to incarnate in each one of us, to rescue the fallen spirits and souls of humanity, and return everything to the original state. In Revelation 19, we are told that they come sitting on white horses, purified psyches, and with white, pure linen clothes, which are really the righteous works for which we were born, because each one of us has a divine mission on earth. And as soon as we start fulfilling this divine mission, we start returning to our home, where there are neither men nor women, nor separation of any kind. Even Yeshua said this. In the ascent to the original state, what is known as anastasis, translated as resurrection, beings neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like the divine messengers in heaven. Matthew 20:30. So we will be as we always were. We will know as we were known, said Apostle Paul. We will return to our primal states as beings of light, with our divine family, but also with the rescued garments, purified garments, because the Anointed One came to rescue what was lost. This was also taught. And the Anointed One also represents the divine name, and hence it is called the name of salvation, Yeshua, or Yehoshua. And that name or divine word represents 4 functions of the divine being: the Father, Mother, Son, and Daughter, archetypes of reality, which are not the static hypostasis of human theology, because the divine name is a verb, not an entity. In Hebrew wisdom, its functions are represented by 4 letters, Yud, He, Vav, He. The letter Yud is the Father, the invisible spirit will that fecundates. He dwells in an approachable light, we read in 1 Timothy 6:16. Nobody has seen the true divine one. The only begotten divine being who dwells in the bosom of the Father has made him known, says the Gospel of John. Now, that light manifests as a collective phase in the womb of life. Life which is represented by the Hei, the divine mother or universal divine soul that gestates and gives birth to the seed of love, light, life, and serenity. She is the famous bosom of the Father, where the only begotten Son is born, the Anointed One. As for the letter Vav, which connects above and below, it is the divine Son himself, which is the seed of the Father. Hence we hear that whoever receives and has the Son receives the Father. And where is he received? In the Alma, which in Hebrew means maiden, meaning the virgin soul without contamination, represented by the second He in the name Yud Hei Vav Hei, which is the very same life of the mother, but in us. Amazingly, we have a drop of the divine soul ocean, a spirit of holiness, as it is said, which is different from the psychological soul of fallen mind and emotions influenced by the serpent energy. And it's really a miracle to see how much pain this Alma or divine soul can endure within us. A true divine feminine quality, gift that we rarely appreciate. And within this divine Alma or soul grows the seed, an embryo of the anointed Son with all his understanding. Being born of the Spirit is precisely when the Son manifests in us with the qualities of the divine name, true love, light, life, and serenity. Curiously, the letters Yud Hei Vav Hei in Aramaic look like a man when placed vertically. You can see this on the web, in the section Vision, which is not finished nor translated yet. And the four Gospels also represent the divine name. The letter Yud would be the Gospel of John, since this start with the famous phrase, "In the beginning was the divine Word," the Spirit that fecundates, and the Word is emanated by the Divine One, the one person. In Ephesians 4, Paul sums it up. There is only one God and Father of all, which is above all, through all, and in all. Above all, he is Father. Through all is the Mother, or Divine Soul, and in all, it is the daughter and the son, unifying the masculine and feminine qualities of the Father and the Mother in us, building up the cosmic body. For this cause, then, I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named. Ephesians 3:14. So the divine name is not a God apart, but the beings that represent him. In the spirit of life, we are his offspring. We are his name, the Anointed One. Which God? Shall I tell them, send me? What is your name? Moses asked to the divine bird within himself, in the famous passage of the burning bush. And the Word answered, I will be who I will be, Yehye Asher Ehyeh, which means, I will manifest through you. And so it must be in each one of us. Now, whom are we feeding? Old Adam or the new and last Adam? Which family do we want to belong to? The family of life or the family of death? Actually, when we feel true life in us, we do not even choose, for we start being the life that we must be. We are his offspring. And with this, down below you have links to the web of Vital Orientation and the blog. Live comments and questions if you wish. I hope all this is helpful, and may true love, light, life, and peace, the divine name, be manifested in each one of us. See you next time.